Despite preparing for a Sun Belt championship game, Bob Chesney has already immediately impacted UCLA's early signing day recruiting.
You are Locked On UCLA, your daily podcast on the UCLA Bruins. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome, everybody, to this edition of the Locked On UCLA podcast. I'm your host, Anderson-Yoxsimer. Thanks for making this show your first listen each and every day. It's free wherever you get your podcast, and it's available on YouTube. Like, comment, subscribe, download. Thanks for your support. Welcome back, everydayers, tuning into this craziness. We almost have 2 or 3 shows or uploads a day, so say thanks for staying tuned with all that. This episode is brought to you by FanDuel. If you want to be in the middle of the action this season, visit FanDuel.com and place your NFL live bets all season long. Today's topics include more Rose Bowl and UCLA drama, the Rose Bowl in Pasadena adding more people to the lawsuit. UCLA takes on Oregon in their Big Ten home opener. But we'll start with this. The early signing day is still getting UCLA recruits. Bob Chesney is making his impact known with now 3 former JMU commits or offerees, all right? I already talked about DJ Bordeaux, UCLA's potential quarterback of the future. He's bounced around between a couple of states. Bordeaux comes in and is a guy that could impact UCLA maybe in the next couple of years, but he's somebody who Chesney's staff had handpicked as somebody to offer to JMU when he was a Boston College commit, and now he's committed to UCLA, sneaking under the radar on day 2 of a 3-day early signing day period. Now, a couple other guys finding their way to UCLA here in this class of 26, a class that's ranking is now in the 70s. One that was 107, and now after some Bob Chesney influence has found its way into the 70s at the moment. We've got a Huntsville, Alabama native in Michael Price, a 3-star interior offensive lineman, 6'5" beast. All right, the UCLA Bruins need some absolute help all over the O-line and the D-line. Michael Price is expected to certainly help that. And then you keep on building. UCLA adds another running back, Jaden Fox from Colorado. And you think, oh, where's Bordeaux from? Well, Bordeaux has bounced around between Colorado and Georgia. So you're like, wait a minute, how is Bob Chesney going to bounce around and recruit the East Coast guy? Well, if he's already got a couple of guys from Colorado initially or at some point in their high school careers, he's already arranging out west to go get some recruits and bring them to James Madison. Now those guys are already signed entities, signed players for UCLA's recruiting class. So right now, that number has jumped up to 15 current signed players as of this recruiting. Now you're like, okay, Zach, maybe that's a pretty solid recovery, building what was a recruiting class in the hundreds, creeping its way up. There's some high school potential to at least give a little bit of depth for UCLA for years to come, whether it was former Deshaun Foster handpicked guys, whether it's now Bob Chesney handpicked guys. You're seeing his influence already impacting next year's roster. What the Bruins need to do is everybody, you and I included, are going to watch this Sun Belt championship game when James Madison is playing, and we'll say, okay, who are some of the guys that Chesney has his eyes on, not just on his own roster, but if there's anybody he might contact from the rest of the Sun Belt, if he's got good relationships, maybe he's seeing somebody on the opposite sideline that could come to UCLA as well via the transfer portal. Well, some guys that of the 20 plus honorees, so many honorees that James Madison had for Sun Belt, first team, second team, third team, honorable mention honorees. You had the player of the year in Alonzo Barnett III, the QB. You had a freshman of the year. For James Madison, they had the defensive player of the year and the coach of the year. Well, the defensive player of the year, unfortunately, Trent Hendrick is a senior. But Alonzo Barnett III, QB, if things aren't going to work out with Nico, then Barnett is a redshirt junior if that's where UCLA is going to go. The James Madison Dukes also have the freshman of the year, Sahir White. And what does he play? He was a redshirt freshman on the D-line. And you know what the Bruins need? And you know what they lost the most of in this most recent recruiting class? They lost a lot of D linemen. All right, they lost their Irvine product. David Swirsel committed to UCLA twice and didn't even sign with UCLA. They lost Carter Gooden, their highest rated recruit, on the eve of it. Anthony Jones, the Irvine product, ended up going somewhere else. There's a lot of movements on the D line and the O line. So the fact that James Madison possesses a very young D lineman who is the Sun Belt Freshman of the Year, he could be one of those candidates that maybe Chesney deems worthy if he can get him over to UCLA, like many of these Dukes players could be, and be a UCLA Bruin maybe in the future. I've counted of the about 20 honorees, hopefully not double counting, looking at this list, about 12 to 13 players who have years of eligibility left, either a year or more. So Bruins could actually target some of these guys. Now, Barnett's an interesting one. James Madison's running back right now. You have Wayne Knight, who are first team offensive players on the All Sun Belt list. You have an O lineman for James Madison, who, if you're looking at, hey, who might the Bob Chesney crew bring on the first, second, or third team? They got a couple of guys on the O-line. They've got guys on the defensive side, even in special teams. Everywhere you look on the football field, you're going to see James Madison populating elite players in the Sun Belt, guys who, if Chesney's going to follow that Curt Cignetti model, because why not? Bring your best players, the ones you have the best relationships with, the most talented ones, to UCLA, like Cignetti did to Indiana, and immediately turn that football team and change that culture around into a winning culture, a playoff team, and now a top 2 team playing in the Big Ten championship. That's what Indiana's doing. Now, Chesney is obviously trying to do something a little different. I think the UCLA rebuild might take an extra year or so compared to Cignetti, because that's a lot to say. Hey, be like Cignetti, go be a playoff team. But there are close to 10 to 12 guys who could come to UCLA based on just superior years in the Sun Belt, if they might make that transition to the Big Ten. So it's a long list between the first team, second team, third team, and honorable mention, even special teams. There's a variety of guys that Chesney could make and bring, because I've seen, just have them go through the transfer portal. Well, not everybody can, one, get into UCLA. Two, might be ready to go into the Big Ten, but Chesney likes probably to have guys that would have good relationship with the coach, are coachable, and can at least develop. And that's the thing UCLA hasn't done in a minute. They haven't been able to develop guys overall the field. They've seen the Carson Schlesingers. I like to see Kane Medrano grow. We've seen some players come out of nowhere and be a walk-on and be a super impactful player. But even from the Chip Kelly era, we haven't seen guys maximized truly. The Bruins either fell short in recruiting and were trying to make a 2-star into a 3.5-star. Chesney looks like he maximizes programs, maximizes potential with all the guys that he brings. So when you bring in a couple of guys like a Price, so you bring in a running back like a Jaden Fox or a DJ Bordeaux, those are guys that could probably build into something and might quietly be impactful guys in a UCLA class that might be underwhelming by stats, stars, and ratings, but could actually develop into something with what Bob Chesney has been able to do at previous stops, from Salve Regina, Assumption, Holy Cross, James Madison, and now to UCLA, which is in most cases revive those programs, or in James Madison's case, keep the level of excellence up. And for the Bruins, it looks like that's going to go as well. So the immediate impact is already being felt by Chesney, despite him not even being officially announced as coach, despite him keeping his attention in the public eye to the Sun Belt Championship game. So what we got to look out for this game for James Madison is, how disciplined do they look? And if you're like, if that dude makes a play, all right, look, there's a couple of freshmen, sophomore, juniors, redshirt juniors, older guys that can make an impact and establish something at UCLA next year after they've had successful careers, or a year at James Madison, right? That list could be 2 shows worth to talk about every little guy. But we'll see who might actually make their way from the portal to UCLA. There's already a few JMU commits, maybe more on the way. But for now, there's 3 JMU influences on the UCLA recruiting list right now. We'll see if there's more, but it's good for that. Next, UCLA men's basketball takes on Oregon in a crucial Big Ten clash. If the Bruins start 2-0, they start to continue to build that case for the NCAA tournament, get some good quality Power 4 wins, Power 5 wins, and we'll start 2-0 in Big Ten play. Who's in front? A friendly old face, Dana Altman, Nate Biddle, and Jackson Shelstead. We'll talk about that next on Locked On UCLA. NFL Sundays move fast, so one big play and suddenly everything feels different. That's what makes live betting with FanDuel so exciting. You're not just watching the game, you're reacting to it in real time. With FanDuel, you can place bets as the action unfolds, every drive, every momentum swing, and every highlight moment. Live betting is best when the game starts to shift. The receiver gets hot, the defense tightens up, the momentum flips after a turnover. FanDuel lets you jump into the moment. There's live spreads and money lines that adjust instantly. Player props update as guys heat up. And maybe you're looking, hey, for me, take a look at that Raiders-Broncos game. It's a game in Vegas. Last time it was pretty hotly contested in Denver, but this game's on the road for the Broncos. And yes, I'm a big Raider fan, but hey, a 7.5-point spread on FanDuel for the Broncos. I think you might take the Broncos in that one. They might do great indoors against the Raiders. But if you want to take the action right in the middle of the game, visit FanDuel.com, place your NFL live bets all season long. FanDuel, the game moves fast, and so can you. Cruising on here, Locked On UCLA, we are talking UCLA men's hoops. They got a crucial battle against the Oregon Ducks, a matinee matchup on a Saturday. Some big games across the country, but UCLA versus Oregon is a crucial one. I'm of the opinion the Bruins need to bank as many wins as possible in the Big Ten to get a chance at that bye for the top 4 seeds in the Big Ten tournament, which I think includes all 20 teams this year. They've expanded it when they go play at the United Center later in March. So the Bruins take on Oregon. I don't believe the Bruins will sweep everybody in the West, whether that's USC, Washington, or Oregon. So you got to bank those wins early. UCLA did that last year, started 2-0. This is a different Oregon team who is currently missing Nate Biddle. Mick Cronin, as of his latest media availability, believes the 7-foot super senior for Oregon will be available against the Bruins. Last year, less of a nightmare for the Bruins because they had William Kyle III, they had Adai Mara, they had different guys, they had Bilodeau, who could probably stretch out a little bit and guard the super 7-footer, who could shoot it from 3. Now, UCLA doesn't have a true center. Now, Booker's athletic to stretch out there. Jamerson's active, but Bilodeau is hurt. So if the Bruins have to go small, not sure if that works. If Cronin has to go to a zone against Oregon, is that going to work if Shellstad gets red hot from 3? If Biddle is stretching out and shooting some wing or corner threes, but the Bruins go back to man, then I wonder if Booker or Jamerson are going to thrive in this matchup defensively, because Hans Steinbach destroyed the Bruins, 29 points and 10 rebounds. And Biddle can shoot it. So if Biddle's going to succeed in the paint, if he's going to succeed from 3, this could be a long day for UCLA defensively, whether it's in the post or guarding the stretch 5 big. If Shellstad gets red hot, he's a guy that broke his hand a little earlier in the offseason, has been a little hit or miss so far. This just feels like a prime Shellstad breakout game. Oregon had USC on the ropes. Back and forth game, an undefeated ranked USC team. Oregon at home seemed like a raucous crowd at Matthew Knight Arena. Couldn't get the job done against the USC Trojans. So they're coming off a loss. They're a little frustrated coming to play UCLA. The Bruins had to try very hard at the end of the game. They thought they had wrapped up against Washington. But now you're wondering, what's the wear and tear? You played 39 minutes each for Donovan Dent and Sky Clark. Cronin even alluded to it, talking to reporters at one of the latest practice sessions for the Bruins, that, I was trying to get them out of the game. I didn't know if I should trust them in terms of minutes played, and he let them out there. But the wear and tear could be interesting. If Trent Perry is available to play, then he could help take that ease, get Clark off the court, get Dent off the court, not because they're not playing well, but if you're going to start piling up 40 minutes a game already, I feel like you need to build to that in mid to late December to January, as opposed to here early December. We're not even officially at the 1-month mark of games played. That'll be by Sunday, December 7th. So the Bruins, I'd like to see what they can do to guard Biddle, who is expected to be returned. At least Cronin believes that Biddle will be back. Making sure Shellstad is gone. And what can the Bruins do with Perry and shuffling the minutes between Dent and Clark? The breakout guy for UCLA is this: Eric Daly Jr. had one of his worst games of his UCLA career, arguably one of his worst games in his college career. Had about 16 minutes played, didn't take any shots, 0 points, got 4 personal fouls. And when you're in foul trouble, a guy like EDJ's potential, it hurts significantly. Last year against Oregon, Eric Daly Jr. was averaging about 22 points per game, shooting about 80% from the floor and 80% from three. He would not miss. One of those led to a win against Oregon and Eugene when the Ducks were ranked. The other one led to a domination of the Oregon Ducks at home. And those were season-defining wins for UCLA that helped get the Bruins in the tournament along with an Arizona win. But EDJ was the guy that broke out against the Ducks. And sometimes you see teams change from year to year, and of course the Ducks do, but two of their leading standouts between Biddle and Shellstad are leading Dana Altman's squad. This is an Oregon team that currently has, 3 to 4 losses. They're not as red hot. They aren't that top-tier pick to be a top 4 seed in a regional bracket in the tournament because they didn't win their Players Era Festival tournament. They didn't have a good showing in that. So they're reeking of desperation after a home loss to a pretty decent USC team. Now, can we see EDJ replicate last year's production against Oregon? That would be something to look out for. Can Oregon, in their third crack at Eric Daly Jr. in the last year and a half, stop him? Can they? I mean, it's not even a year and a half. It's in a year, basically, since the Bruins had that early Big Ten game against EDJ last year. So we'll see what happens in this one. Because if EDJ can get red hot from downtown, that'll be good. If Trent Perry is not available, although I think he's trending to be available for this game, the Bruins are going to be probably on fumes. The one guy who wasn't overworked in the Washington game was Daly Jr. Bilodeau was cramping up. Booker was struggling down low against Steinbach, and I wonder what that matchup's going to look like. Jamerson could easily get into foul trouble against Nate Biddle if that's something that if that is a matchup that happens, if Biddle comes back and plays. So look for the guy who might have not the most prime time defensive matchup, the guy who wasn't overrun with minutes, he's frustrated, he's energized, and might have the perfect source for UCLA's victory in this one. And the points, you're probably going to lean on Eric Daly Jr. I think the Bruins do defeat the Ducks. It's at home. I hope that the woes of the first 4 and last 4 minutes don't carry over into this game because Washington was very good the first 4 minutes against UCLA and the last 4 minutes. But the Bruins, in that middle 32, outplayed the Washington Huskies significantly. Will the Bruins stick with the zone that Cronin was talking about, fearful about his team's minutes, foul trouble, fatigue? Or will he go with man against an Oregon Ducks team that can shoot it and likes to shoot it between a Shellstad and a Biddle? But those guys aren't fully healthy or aren't strong enough. I think the Bruins can get away with this one and win at home. It might be a little different in Eugene, but this is a must-win for UCLA because this is one of those weird resume games that's going to look ugly early if Oregon wins this game on the road at Pauley. But I think the Ducks will figure it out. Yet I just don't think UCLA can suffer a third loss before the end of the calendar year. I thought UCLA would have been disaster if they had 2 calendar losses. And with still ASU at home, they still have to play Gonzaga in Seattle in about a week's time. The Bruins, if they don't win this game, could be looking at 4 losses before the new year, and Big Ten play is really even kicked into gear. And the Big Ten looks as deep as ever. As deep as ever. So the Bruins have to get this one done. I think they win it by 5 to 7 points. Oregon might lead early. The Bruins might have to scrap and claw their way into this one, and they pull away in the last minute by making their free throws that Cronin was harping on after that Washington game, making their free throws, and they win it 5 to 7 in a game that's probably played the entirety of a one-possession game with Oregon leading it before the Bruins steal it late. That's my thought going into this Oregon matchup. That's if Biddle is ready to go. Cronin thinks so, so I'm going to lean on Cronin's knowledge, and Oregon desperately needs a win, so they're going to throw everything at the Bruins. Next, we'll update you a little bit on the latest reporting from the LA Times and Ben Bolch about the Rose Bowl drama, because of course, it just never ends. The holidays are officially here, which means gift hunting season is on, and if you want something meaningful, personal, and guaranteed to get a reaction, Aura Frames is the gift that delivers every time. It's not just something you wrap, it's a way to share memories because Aura isn't your average picture frame. You upload and you preload the frame with photos before you gift it, so when they plug it in, the memories, they're already there. No apps to figure it out, no setup headaches, just instant smiles. Because think about like, oh, what am I going to give to my grandparents or my parents? Maybe they're not media tech savvy. No, just plug it in and it's there. The memories are there and their eyes will water. Tears of joy. It'll be great. And you can have a personalized message right inside the frame so the gift feels incredibly thoughtful, even more so than the moment it's opened. See, I'm even getting ready to cry too. For a limited time, save on the perfect gift by visiting auraframes.com to get $35 off Aura's best-selling Carver Matte frames, named #1 by Wirecutter. Use the promo code COLLEGE at checkout. That's AURA, auraframes.com, promo code COLLEGE. The deal is exclusive to listeners, and frames sell out fast, so order yours now to get it in time for the holidays. Support the show by mentioning us at checkout. Terms and conditions apply. Cruising on here in Locked On UCLA, wrapping things up here. UCLA, the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, they're the best of friends. Not. We still don't know where UCLA might actually play their football games. I don't know if that Washington game debacle is the last time the Bruins will ever grace the Rose Bowl Stadium as the home team in a regular season game. Or is UCLA going to move to SoFi in 2026? Well, they're in a bit of legal battle. But then I saw an update with an article from Ben Bolch of the LA Times talking about how the added parts of the lawsuits are Kroenke Sports, which means basically Stan Kroenke, and then you have the SoFi part of it too. So you have SoFi Stadium, Stan Kroenke, part of this legal battle, and reading part of the LA Times article, you'll see going to a certain point. Wait a minute. They're saying that they were encouraging UCLA to get out of this deal and we could make it happen. So Kroenke Sports, SoFi Stadium are now added in this complaint by the City of Pasadena and the Rose Bowl, right? UCLA's public statements are they're evaluating where they're going to play their future home games. The problem is you're going to have a new coach. He's going to fly in. He's going to go find a place to live around Westwood, bring players a new home. But when it comes to September 12th, that first game UCLA plays at home after their road game at Cal, we don't even know where they're going to play. Honestly, I have no idea where they're going to play. It's leaning SoFi, and if the legal battles get out of it, or if they go through the legality of it, maybe UCLA plays a lump sum, a huge amount of money to get out of it, and they somehow get to SoFi. Or the Rose Bowl is going to sue and sue and sue as much as possible to keep the Bruins in Pasadena for a significant amount of time. Do I think UCLA is going to stay through the end of their 2043 part of the deal? It doesn't seem like UCLA could stay at the Rose Bowl for another 20 years without an amendment to the contract, because the Bruins, they're not making a lot from parking or the tickets or from the extreme fun club suites that you have at the Rose Bowl. But when it comes to SoFi, that would be a better deal where UCLA could get a bigger cut, trying to get more fans in there. But it takes away from the novelty, the pageantry of college football with the tailgating, with just the history of college football being so intertwined with the Rose Bowl itself. It's a beautiful stadium with a beautiful backdrop that just works great when UCLA's wearing the home blues. So I've already stated on this show multiple times that UCLA needs to play at home. And I remember heading to that last game against Washington, on the website, the Rose Bowl home events still had UCLA's home opener against San Diego State listed. Now, I went to the Rose Bowl Stadium's website, and the only big events happening in 26 are the Pokemon Go Tour and Guns N' Roses, UCLA's Week 1 game when they're at Cal. But I've looked and I haven't seen anything else that's loaded that assumes UCLA will be playing at the Rose Bowl. The only 2026 game at the Rose Bowl is the Rose Bowl playoff game, right? The Rose Bowl game itself. But right now, it doesn't exactly look like something that UCLA might play there. Who knows? It's all up in the air, but more and more people are getting added to this lawsuit by the City of Pasadena and by the Rose Bowl. It's a mind-boggling thing. I'm always going to side with UCLA going with tradition, going to the Rose Bowl. Others could argue there's never been a tradition in the first place. 40 years with not a lot of tradition doesn't exactly equal tradition. Well, I would like the Rose Bowl. I'll be honest. I'll drive much further to get to the Rose Bowl rather than get stuck in this conglomerate that's happening over at Inglewood, whether it's SoFi, you mix in the Intuit Dome, the Forum. There's just so much happening over there. If you're going to act like it's going to be more fun to park, get in, deal with the hot weather, and do all that, yes, okay. Now, if you're trying to go watch some World Cup games in the SoFi, that's one thing. But to play UCLA football, it's just different. It's very different. That's why they have the professional vibe. You're going to have the World Cup there. You're going to see the Olympics there. You're going to see all these other things, but they're more professional athletes. The collegiate football feel, for me, is always going to be at the Rose Bowl until UCLA can ever find a way to build something on campus, which seems like never. That would be quite an endeavor. So while UCLA tries to have its ties severed with the Rose Bowl and the city of Pasadena, I really wonder how it's all going to play out. I know some of you might think, let's move on. New coach, new wave, new tradition. There'll be energy in the stadium. The Bruins have made the right choice for head coach. Penn State's looking at Matt Campbell. There's no need to be worried about where Bob Chesney's going. He's going to UCLA as soon as James Madison's playoff hopes are done. Whether that's right after the game and they win the Sun Belt Championship, or if they keep going. And the Bruins are already feeling the impact right now through the recruiting. I just think UCLA should give Chesney a chance to revive the Rose Bowl, and we could see. Because if UCLA's winning and it's still not going well at the Rose Bowl, then we have to look at ourselves and say, why aren't we showing up? What's the problem? That moment's not in the mirror. We haven't been excited about a coach. Obviously, there was some excitement about Chip Kelly, but the home opener was empty and dead when they played Cincinnati. UCLA, it's a little different when they're going to go play Cal. You get San Diego State in there against Sean Lewis. San Diego State's reviving the Pac-12 logo. It'll be interesting when the Bruins have a home game against San Diego State. So we'll see how it all plays out. But right now, the update is it's a whole bunch of baloney between both sides. More people are getting involved in the legal battle. So we'll see if that helps or hurts the Rose Bowls and Pasadena's cases to keep the Bruins locked in this contract till 2043. I don't think it lasts till then. In order for UCLA to stay at the Rose Bowl, more concessions have to be made for the Bruins to get more money, which is exactly what they're looking for. Money. Money, money, money. And I think that's really not the name of the game, as it has become in college sports. We'll talk more UCLA basketball. We'll talk more recruiting and anything else that comes out of the transfer portal here on Locked On UCLA. So like, comment, subscribe, download, become an everydayer, become a part of the Everydayer Club here on Locked On, the #1 sports podcast network out there. All right, heads up, Bruins fans, 8 clap time, baby. And 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. UCLA. UCLA, fight, fight, fight. This has been Locked On UCLA. Zach signing off. Go Bruins.